Welcome children to one more session of chapter number 6, that is tissue. And today is our 7th and last session of this chapter. In our previous session we studied about muscular tissue and its characteristic features. We also learned about types of muscular tissues. We discussed about structure and function of various types of muscular tissues like skeletal muscles, involuntary or smooth muscles, cardiac muscles which are also involuntary muscles, and we also compared all these three types of muscles. Now in today's session we will study a very interesting new type of animal tissue, that is a nervous tissue. Children, we all know that there is some control system in our body. So there are two basic systems of internal communication in our body and physiological homeostasis in our body. Homeostasis is a state in which our body tries to maintain a balance. That balance can be a balance of temperature, maintaining a particular temperature, or maintaining a particular pH inside the body, which is acidity or basicity in the body. So a body has certain limits and it always tries to maintain that limits of temperature, pH, etc. So that condition is called as homeostasis. This homeostasis and the communication coordination within the body is under control of two main units. We are going to study about this control and coordination in detail in your 10th standard. So these two units are the endocrine system, in which various types of glands are involved, and the nervous system. So in today's session we are going to study about nervous system. It is estimated that the human nervous system consists of at least 100 billion neurons in it. And nervous tissue is composed of two groups of cells, nerve cells which are known as neurons and neuroglia. In today's session we are going to focus on neurons, that is a unit of nervous system, and these neurons are also known as nerve cells. So we all know that all cells which are present in our body shows a very specific characteristic of responding to various type of stimuli. Stimuli is present in external environment, and when that stimuli is given to our body generates a response. That response can be of various type, like touching a hot object or pricking of your finger or any other kind. In this slide you can see the picture of such kind of responses. You have already studied about these response to stimuli in your previous classes. So the cells of the nervous tissue are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly and very quickly from one place to another within the body. So what is that thing which transfers that nerve impulse very quickly in the body, and how that response is generated very quickly within the body? It is because of three main parts of our nervous tissues. The brain, spinal cord and the nerves are all composed of the nervous tissue. The cells of this tissue are called nerve cells or neurons. So now let us focus on the structure of neuron. A neuron consists of mainly two parts. The upper part, which is also known as cell body, or in some books you will also see it as cytone. This part, this upper part till here is called as cell body, and this is also called as cytone. And in this cytone you will see that dendrites are present, which is a hair-like projections or the branching which makes this part star-like, and nacelles granules, and you will also see a very dense and very prominent nucleus present in it, and around that nucleus there is cytoplasm which is present. And from this main part, a hair-like projection arises downward. So here you can see this hair-like projection, which is called as axon. This axon is a very special part which again ends into a branched structure, which is called as axon terminal, which has a special knob-like structure, and this part is very important in transmitting the nerve impulse from one nerve to another nerve. That is, it has synaptic knobs in it. So the entire neuron has two main parts, that is cell body or cytone and axon part. The cytone consists of a highly branched part which is called as dendrites, in this cytone part there is a very prominent nucleus which is surrounded by cytoplasm, in which some granules are present which are called as Nissel's granule, and there is a long hair-like projection which is coming from the cytone part, and this hair-like projection is called as axon part. This axon part is again having a extra sheath which is made up of myelin, and this sheath is called as myelin sheath. And this sheath is not a continuous covering over the axon part. It is making a node-like structure where it is interrupted, and this node is called as node of Ranvier, and there are special type of cells which are called as Schwann cells. And the end part of this axon is having axon terminal, which has a very highly active part which is known as synaptic node. So two end parts of entire neuron, that is dendrites and synaptic node, are very highly active in transmitting nerve impulses from one neuron to another neuron. In this diagram you can see that here one neuron is connected to another neuron, and that the second neuron is connected to the third neuron. So how this connection is possible? Only because of dendrites and synaptic nodes. An individual nerve cell may be up to a meter long. Many nerve fibers bound together by connective tissue make up a nerve. So in this diagram you can see that there is a bundle of nerve fiber. Here, focus on this diagram. You can see there are so many small fibers which are making a nerve. Nerve impulses allow us to move our muscles when we want to move it. Now the fundamental combination of nerve and muscle tissue is a fundamental to most animals. This combination enables animals to move rapidly in response to stimuli. That stimuli can be of various types. Now let us conclude what we have done in today's session. In today's session we studied about the nervous tissues. We studied that control and coordination in our body is done by these nervous tissues, in which we studied about the structure of nervous tissues. And we studied that the nervous tissues are made up of a structural unit which is known as neuron, and this neuron is made up of two main units, cell body and axon. Cell body consists of a nucleus, cytoplasm and Nissel's granules, and the outer part or peripheral part of the cell body makes a branching star-like structure which has dendrites on it, and one part of this central body or cell body has a hair-like projection which makes the axon part. This axon part is again having a axon terminal and which has a knob-like structure, and these dendrites and this terminal axon knob-like structure help in transmission of nerve impulse from one neuron to another neuron, and thus there is a response which is generated in our body is very fast and quick. Now there are few questions for you children. The first question is, name the unit of nervous tissue. The second question is, what does a nerve cell look like? And the third question is, what are the major parts of a neuron? Then the fourth question, which is very important and you need to practice it a lot, that is, Draw a label diagram of a neuron. Now children, this was the last topic of this chapter. So let us once again go through all important topics of this chapter. So in the beginning of this chapter, we studied about tissues, and we also learned that tissue is a group of cells which are similar in structure and function. Then we studied that these tissues which we are studying are of two types, the tissues which are present in plants and the tissues which are present in animals. So plant tissues have different structure because plants have different requirement, and animal tissues have different features and different types because they have different requirements. Plant tissues are of two main types, meristematic and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissue is the dividing tissue present in the growing region of the plant. Permanent tissues are derived from meristematic tissue once they lose the ability to divide. They are classified as simple and complex tissues. Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma are three types of simple tissues. Xylem and phloem are types of complex tissues. Animal tissues can be epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissues. Depending on shape and function, epithelial tissues are classified into squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated and glandular epithelial tissues. The different types of connective tissue in our body include areolar tissue, adipose tissue, bone, tendons, ligament, cartilage and blood. Striated, unstriated and cardiac are the three types of muscle tissues. Nervous tissue is made up of neurons that receive and conduct nerve impulses in our body. Thank you.